why would any of my interests be inorganic that I'm like forcing myself to appreciate shit? I can't even force myself to listen to music. You know what I mean? I spend every waking moment thinking about politics, talking about politics. And in the moments where I'm not doing that, I'm doing either gym shit or anime, you know what I mean? Or playing video games. Like, those are the things I genuinely like. They cut a TikTok from it.
It feels like we're at a pretty important juncture for young men, right? And there's a lot of people telling them to regress. And then, I don't know, it feels like you're on the other side of that fight, trying to tell men to grow.
I think that the reason why the right is so successful at capturing the attention of young men in particular is because they're taking a lot of the worst aspects of the hopelessness that everyone in the next generation is experiencing. And right-wing commentary is like a warm blanket that you can surround yourself with that says you're right to be angry, and you should be angry at vulnerable populations. You should be angry at people who have no power over you. And then if you dominate them a little bit, then that gives you a little bit of power, right?
What is your read on why this male optimization getting, really beefed up has like a left-right divide? And what is that divide about?
A lot of these guys, they don't think too hard about politics. If you don't really think about things too much, you kind of find yourself susceptible to social conditioning. And that does have a right-wing slant, the whole common sense narrative. It's like, oh, this is just common sense. I don't understand. Two genders, common sense. You didn't put a lot of thought into it. That's just what you learned your entire life. So, of course, I guess the other reason is because self-improvement can turn into hyper-individualism very quickly, which is also another incredibly American attitude in general.
It feels like...
What are the comments say? Hasan is the only person on the left that actually points out the villains making our lives miserable. Hasan is really not much better at all. Thank you for your informed opinion, Big Cheese 69 Poop. The polls are clear on this topic. Gen Z are more progressive than millennials, except for white Gen Z men who are slightly more conservative than white millennial men. Can't get over Hasan's weird rape comments. Plenty of other commentators have plenty to add without that dark layer. Just search it up. It's been there for a long time. Big Cheese 69 Poop back in there. When he said that rape doesn't justify genocide, that's the wild take you're talking about? No, my fault for being vague. I mean, when he jokes that it would be good for the girls from rich families to be raped by guys from rich families. No, I did not say that. I like that it's just people are like, I'm mad at Hasan. Why are you mad at Hasan? I'm mad at Hasan about this thing that I made up. Okay, well, what can I do? You made it up. You're hallucinating. No. That's the different made up thing. I'm gonna say another made up thing instead.
Last Cannondale and Avonton.
This ad is to tell you you can now...
God damn, they put hella ads on that.
This is Today Explained.
I'm Hasan Piker, also known as Hasanabi online. I go by many names. Hasan the... I mean, you did make that joke, bro. This is what I mean, brother. This is why I'm saying what I'm saying. That like with fans like this, why would I ever need a fucking sea of haters? You know what I mean? No, I did not. I did not. When responding to a fucking anti-Title IX university, I said it's better off that people who are going to a pro-rape university are volunteering to cordon themselves away from the rest of the general population. That's what I said. I did not say it's awesome or what you're claiming I said. This is it. This is the point. Yeah, I said it's better that these people are volunteering to go to rape university when the video that I was watching was talking about how they were doing a pro-rape university, which is really interesting because that university actually has a ProPublica report out on it where that has happened a shit ton, as a matter of fact. You're getting shaken now. You're getting shaken like a baby. Get shook, stupid. No, he's not going to say the classic line, "Oh, I didn't know that's what you said." It would be akin to people thinking that I genuinely want to rendition all the perverts in the fucking Florida and dump it into the ocean because of my Florida Project meme. Why? Why is it that people have to literally go, I don't like you, so I'm going to rob everything that you've said of its context and nuance. Anyway, he's not going to say, he's not going to respond to this. He's instead going to probably double down and complain later. Let's continue. On Twitter, Hassan Piker on TikTok, but Hasanabi primarily on Twitch. I'm live on Twitch every day from 11 a.m. Pacific time, usually around 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time, every single day, 7 days a week. No matter where I am around the world, I try to hit that same time frame. And yeah, I'm a political commentator. People call me many different things. Radical, sometimes even a terrorism lover, just, slander to I think, designations that I would not see fit for myself, such as like activist, organizer, or even journalist, really.
You are doing a lot of stuff and spending an enormous part of your day making yourself available to people on live streams, on social media. What do you think? Like, what's your sense of what people come to you for?
I think a lot of people see me as talk radio that's always on, but with a Zoomer / millennial focus rather than anything else. Like it's not that unique. I'm not like necessarily reinventing the wheel here. I think it's just like a guy that you can have in the background while you're doing your chores and you stay up to date. Maybe also sharing the feeling of catharsis or anger that you feel as well, that is being channeled by the guy that you're getting your news from.
And the guy they're getting their news from has some strong political opinions, beliefs, and he talks about them often, but not exclusively.
Yeah.
What would you say are your politics? How would you describe them?
I mean, I call myself a leftist, definitely an anti-imperialist. I think I'm anti-war. I believe that we should not spend so much money on 800 military bases overseas and constantly bombing some of the poorest countries on the planet. And we should instead spend it on infrastructure, jobs programs, and expansion of the welfare state, with the ultimate goal of creating a new way of organizing our economy and our society in general, an evolution from the existing form that is more egalitarian and has more benefits for as many people as possible. Because I think we're the wealthiest country on the planet. We are in the post-abundance universe, and I don't mean that in an Ezra Klein way. I mean, like, we literally have a surplus of food supply, for example. Like 10 million people should not be dying due to famine-related diseases around the globe at this point. It's a matter of supply chains. Like, it's a matter of not wanting to feed people.
But saying that right now, saying that in 2025, when the federal government, the Trump administration right now is cutting back aid to some of the poorest people on earth. That's like inherently a left-right question. Do you consider yourself as a leftist a Democrat?
No, I don't consider myself a Democrat. I think just like Bernie Sanders says, he finds himself caucusing with the Democrats quite frequently because that's the only game in town. But I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a Democrat. I mean, it is a duopoly. They're the only game in town. They're the only counterbalance towards the growing rightward shift in this country. And I oftentimes find myself at odds with the Democrats because I feel that they also make way for this growing rightward shift in this country rather than oppose it. Whether it be under the Trump administration, as we've seen so far, with Chuck Schumer refusing to fight back against the quote unquote clean continued resolution bill, and maybe even pushing for a government shutdown in an effort to use the only minority party power position that they have, or whether it be completely caving and capitulating to right-wing framing when the Democrats were in charge, when it came down to accelerating America's foreign policy, like the continuation of the Abraham Accords from the Trump administration, refusing to go back to the table with Iran, which was Obama's signature foreign policy accomplishment that Biden did not revert back to when he came into power, or most significantly, I think, the rhetoric around immigration and immigrant crime, a concept that is entirely made up. This isn't to say that immigrants are never doing any crimes. Of course, everyone does crime, but when you look at the data, immigrants are responsible for a far smaller share, both in per capita and also in totality of crime than natural-born U.S. citizens are. So the notion that like undocumented migrants are doing tens of thousands of murders a year in the way that Trump has suggested is ridiculous. It's just completely made up. And the fact that the Democrats did not actually actively combat this very dangerous, very right-wing, very scary narrative that was built around lying was very frustrating for someone like myself.
You make sense in that tent, which is, as you've heard a million times, a very big tent with Dick Cheney all the way to AOC, all the way to you. Do you think that tent has grown too big and that might be part of the problem the party's having right now?
No, I think that there's a difference between like growing your tent and then I guess like what kind.
I know you're texting your hose right now. Yeah, my hose, the fucking hose of fear
of like what kind of message you're putting out. Because the Democrats didn't really need to do too much to get Liz Cheney on board because they were basically regurgitating neocon policies in general, right? Both Biden and also Kamala Harris with her interest in continuing like the Biden agenda. So they didn't. Like, you don't really need to court Dick Cheney in that regard. He just came on board because it makes sense. You're following, you're following his dreams and his agenda to begin with, especially in terms of foreign policy. What I want is for the Democrats to actually expand its tent to the American working class. I don't care about Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney can say he wants to vote for the Democratic Party. The Democrats should probably say, yeah, we don't care. Fuck you. You're a terrorist. You're a war criminal. Your hands are bloody. Of course, they're not going to say that. But actually, Dick Cheney is the one person that you could probably say that about. And like most people would be like, yeah, that's fine. Like even you might not even be able to get away with that with like GW, but you could get away with that with Dick Cheney. Like he is a monster and also deeply, deeply disliked. Like there is no constituency for this man, just like there's no constituency for Liz Cheney. Like they just tried to make it happen. They tried to make fetch happen with Liz Cheney so hard when they were just like, yeah, no, see, the country's over party. That's what we're doing. Me and Liz Cheney hand in hand. And it just like doesn't make any sense because no one is a Liz Cheney head.
Yeah.
Like even the MSNBC watchers are like, I guess this is good because someone else might like it. That's always the marketing for the Democrats. Someone else is going to like this. I promise.
I asked Tim Walz how many votes he thought Liz Cheney won the Democrats or won Kamala Harris, and he dodged the question.
Yeah. I wish Tim was a little bit more of a fighter. That's the problem with a lot of these Democrats who I think are like much better politicians in general than the ones that get highlighted. The fight.
I learned to just comment on those TikTok posts and never respond to the haters because I have no doubt if a normie genuinely wanted to check you out, they would find nothing in context that will make them hate you. Yeah, I mean, the greatest answer to that kind of stuff, is basically just that what the fuck am my brain pooped, sorry. The greatest answer to that kind of stuff is to just get him to watch a video.
Fighters are so technocratic and so invested in this third-way neoliberalism agenda. Like, they're zealots. But then the actual good, like, left populist or left populist adjacent Democratic Party politicians are unfortunately too soft. Like Bernie. Bernie is way too soft. I love him. I have so much respect for him. But this was my criticism of him in both 2016 and 2020. It's just like he was way too soft. He loved, well, in 2020, he also loves Joe Biden personally. That was another issue. But
soft how? Like how do you mean? You think his policies aren't hard enough?
No. That more his policies. I mean, yeah, his policies are great. I think for the time they are, fairly normal demands that every American would agree to. It's just that, the entire media apparatus, and I would say that the party apparatus considers it to be like a Maoist third worldist position or something. When they're like, hey, can we get like social democracy Nordic style? And they're like, you want to kill every landlord, I think. Like, it's insane the way they treat the most basic stuff that every other competent OECD nation offers unconditionally to all of their citizens. But no, I mean, he needs to be more of a fighter he needs to be more adversarial with the media. He needs to be more adversarial with other establishment Democrats in a way that's not dissimilar to Donald Trump.
You have a lot of young people, 18 to 35, watching you, streaming you, engaging with you. What do you think their politics are?
I mean, it depends. It's a broad variety, but I would say that a lot of young people are devoid of hope. They recognize that they probably will never retire, that they will never be able to own a home, and that most of their salary, if they're lucky enough to get a job that they hate, regardless, is going to go back to their rent. And these are the issues that are I think creating incredible amounts of pressure and pain in the minds of a lot of young people in this country. They just don't feel hopeful. And I understand it. I mean, how could you feel hopeful when looking around at your prospects and you're like, shit looks dire?
And what do you say to them?
I tell them to not cave to nihilism, and to maintain revolutionary optimism, and to remind themselves that there are things that are in their control, self-improvement being one of those things, and that they should remember that their cause is just and their demands are perfectly rational, and that they should continue trying to marginally improve both their personal standing, but also organize in their communities and unionize in their workplaces, so that they can see some immediate benefits to that through collective bargaining.
Hasan will return to tell us more about self-improvement in a minute on Today.
Out of line, and your dividends.
Just 100.
It's been reported that 1 in 4 people streaming on Hulu.
Today Explained is back with Hasan Piker. If you've never seen him, he is jacked. And we don't usually ask our guests about their appearance, but we kind of felt like we had to with Hasan because it's a big part of his persona. So, here we go. You're like a bigger dude. I'm like a skinny dude. Do you look at me and be like, why is this guy self-improving more? Why hasn't he fully actualized himself?
No, not at all. I mean, first of all, self-improvement doesn't mean like reaching a final stage or anything. It means like improving yourself in both invisible and visible ways and bettering yourself from where you were the day prior. It has nothing to do with like where you have gotten to. I mean, it's great. It's definitely fantastic for your confidence if you do improve yourself and then you start seeing those benefits. But, it has nothing to do with like the way you look right now. There's nothing wrong with the way you look. You look great.
Thank you so much.
You're very handsome.
You look great too. You're very handsome as well. What's your protein intake? Is there a lot of protein going on?
Yes. I consume about 200 at a minimum 220 grams of protein every day.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's all right. I eat a lot of chicken. I love chicken, so it's fine. Just straight white chicken breasts every day.
How much do you feel like being kind of yoked is like part of your draw and your persona?
I think initially in leftist circles it's a negative. people look at me and immediately assume that I am a right-wing dude. I mean, at this point, It's like hard to say that because obviously most people know what my politics are. But if you don't know who I am from afar, you think like, oh, that's like a alpha bro, potentially right-wing kind of guy.
What is your read on why this male optimization getting, really beefed up has like a left-right divide? And what is that divide about?
I mean, I think there's a bunch of different reasons for it. But I think like a lot of these guys, they don't think too hard about politics. And then they find themselves trapped in this right-wing bubble. And then I think that they just like associate that with they associate like self-improvement and self-help with that in general. It's not self-help inherently is not like a.
I've had leftists immediately act like PvP has been turned on for revealing that I lift law. I know. You paint your nails how? I mean, the part of the reason why I do that is so that people don't think that I'm an intimidating presence. Please.
Like a leftist or a right-wing thing, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
But it does seem like a lot of the content creators that are promoting that and presenting themselves as that are definitely, at the very least, right-wing. But I think part of it is because...
Throwback to when you went to the BLM protest with your computer on your back but couldn't get many interviews and then someone posts a photo of you there and you're dressed like a plainclothes cop. Yeah. That was a throwback, wasn't it?
That's just the domineering attitude in general. If you don't really think about things too much, you kind of find yourself susceptible to social conditioning. And that does have a right-wing slant. The whole common sense narrative. It's like, this is just common sense. I don't understand. 2 genders, common sense. Like, you didn't put a lot of thought into it. That's just what you learned your entire life. So, of course, like, you kind of slot yourself into the right wing in that regard. I guess the other reason is because self-improvement can turn into hyper-individualism very quickly, which is also another incredibly American attitude in general. But like, that's what it is. Those are the 2 main factors, I think.
And you try to couple self-improvement with helping others, which feels really critical in this moment where a lot of people feel lost, but that leads to them becoming more inward, introverted, even angry.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you're faring in that battle right now to not just, improve yourself inside and out, but to be more considerate of those around you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm a stubborn dude. And I'm not like, doing deliberate gym content specifically because like I want to penetrate like the alpha bro fitness space. It's just like something that I have always liked to do organically. And the content creator.
This is a question I get asked a lot from liberal outlets, is the idea that like I'm doing the gym stuff because like it's a deliberate attempt to like present myself as more masculine or something. It's like, no, I've been working out. Why are you not soy? Yeah, that's kind of the question usually.
That I watch from that space are people that I end up collaborating with or have at least like some mutual interests with, like mutual shared interests with. So that's what it is. It's not me just being like, ooh, if I work out and like present myself as this guy, then, more alpha bros will listen to me. Because a lot of people will still, especially something I've seen online is that like people would rather hear your output and then make up their mind.
Would you call any of your interests inorganic? No. Of course not. Why would any of my interests be inorganic that I'm like forcing myself to appreciate shit? I can't even force myself to listen to music. You know what I mean? I spend every waking moment thinking about politics, talking about politics. And in the moments where I'm not doing that, I'm doing either gym shit or anime, you know what I mean? Or playing video games. Like those are the things I genuinely like. I see no reason to fake it. There's nothing to fake.
Rather than like look at you or genuinely understand whether you care about certain things or not. Like there's this phenomenon online where like Ben Shapiro says the masculine things, so he's more masculine than someone like myself. I'm soy, I'm gay, I'm lame because I think you shouldn't be mean to trans people. Ben, on the other hand, is mean to trans people, and that means you're alpha. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like 5 foot. I think that the reason why the right is so successful at capturing the attention of young men in particular is because they are at the they're taking a lot of the worst aspects of the hopelessness that I was just talking about, that everyone in the next generation is experiencing. And right-wing commentary is like a warm blanket that you can surround yourself with that says you're right to be angry, and you should be angry at vulnerable populations. You should be angry at people who have no power over you. And then if you dominate them a little bit, then that gives you a little bit of power, right? It reminds me of was it the LBJ quote about, telling the lowest white man that he is higher than any black man.
If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you.
I mean, we see different versions of that even today, more evolved versions of that with like.
Okay, he made it seem like he came up with it on the spot. He Googled it in the conversation.
DEI. People will be like, Bill Burr's wife is a DEI wife, and I'm like, what do you mean by that?
DEI wife?
DEI wife.
Oh.
Is it because she's a black woman? Is that why you're saying DEI wife? Yeah.
He seems to really love her. But I think what you're getting at here is the vision that the right is selling to young men is very compelling because it doesn't necessarily involve growth or progress. It just affirms what they already believe, or maybe what their fathers and their fathers before them believed. But you seem to do something special, which is you create an alternate vision for young men, for young people. And it bummed me out a little bit when you said the vibe that you get from most young people is that they're losing hope, because that's a shitty place to be when you're young. What keeps you hopeful?
The one area of hope that I have right now is the momentum that I've seen from AOC and Bernie Sanders, who are going out and speaking in front of tens of thousands of people that may have not even voted for Bernie Sanders in the primaries, right? Like people from all different walks of life that are, both Democrats and maybe even some not Democrats, coming together and being like, yeah, everything is messed up. We need to do something about it. So there's definitely a lot of interest, I think, right now amongst the American working class to change things. Some people have associated that change with Donald Trump. I find that kind of change to be worse because I think Donald Trump is further breaking the system that was broken previously prior to this. But the fact that some people recognize that there must be a different mechanism for change, and they find Bernie to be a vehicle for that is somewhat positive. But it entirely depends on where it goes from here. Does the Democratic Party turn around and go, okay, we got to do that? Enough with this, third way neoliberalism. Enough with the zealotry that we've demonstrated. Constantly talking about true market centrism hasn't been tried. True neoliberalism hasn't been tried yet. It will happen one day. We will unleash the markets and we will free the people. It will be amazing. True neoliberalism cannot fail. It can only be failed. Like this kind of attitude is ridiculous. And I think it's academic, it's smug, it's elitist, and it's wrong. It's demonstrably wrong. And I think people don't want to hear it anymore. So I hope the Democratic Party recognizes that, and then more and more people run for office and say, no, I don't want corporate donations. I'm done with the billionaires and millionaires. I'm done with you. I'm done with the rest of the Democratic Party. I'm going to be a Democrat, but I'm done with the Democratic Party. That's what Republicans did over the course of many, many years as well. And they feared their base.
So when it's Hasan talking, Hasan doesn't pause. Are you guys bored? Do you not want me to listen to this? I mean, it's already over. All right, whatever. We'll move on.